They say water covers over 70% of our planet. So how? Is it possible that humanity might run out of it? Not tomorrow, not next year, but sooner than anyone dares to believe. Glaciers melting faster than predicted. Rivers drying before they reach the sea. Aquifers drained to the bone. And what if I told you that by 2050, over 5 billion people could be living with extreme water scarcity? This isn't a distant nightmare. This is already happening in India, in Chile, in parts of the United States. Now imagine this. The last reservoir dries out. The taps stop running. People fight, not for gold, not for oil, but for a single bottle of clean water. This is the story of how the world lost its most precious resource. And what happened when the last drop was finally drunk. For most of us, water feels endless. You turn on the faucet, and it flows. You shower, wash your hands, your clothes, your car, without a second thought. Supermarkets are lined with bottled water in perfect rows, cold and clear. Cities sparkle with fountains. Golf courses stay green in the middle of deserts. It feels like water is always there, waiting. But that's the illusion. Because behind this comfort hides a truth few are willing to face. The world's fresh water is running out. Right now, only about 2.5% of all water on Earth is fresh water, and most of that is locked in glaciers, ice caps, or buried deep underground. What's actually accessible is less than 1%, and we're wasting it. Every day, industries consume billions of gallons. Agriculture alone uses up 70% of the world's fresh water, much of it lost to inefficient systems or evaporation. Meanwhile, global temperatures keep rising, accelerating droughts and depleting natural sources faster than nature can restore them. Cities like Cape Town and Sao Paulo have already come terrifyingly close to day zero, the moment when no water comes out of the tap. And yet, billions still live as if the problem doesn't exist. Technology gives us desalination, water recycling, even atmospheric water generators. But these solutions are costly, energy-hungry, and not scalable for everyone. The global population is growing. Resources are shrinking, and the balance is shifting. Right now, we're standing at the edge of something irreversible. Not a sudden collapse, but a slow, unstoppable drift toward thirst. This is the starting point. A world where water still flows, but not for long. It didn't happen overnight. The seeds of the water crisis were planted long ago, quietly, invisibly, beneath the surface of progress. Thousands of years ago, civilizations rose beside rivers. The Nile, the industry, the Tigris and Euphrates. Water meant life, growth, power. But even then, it was never infinite. Ancient cities like Angkor and Petra collapsed when their water sources failed. Droughts came, wells dried, crops died. But humanity moved on, always believing that new rivers would be found. New land, new rain. Then came the industrial age. Machines, cities, explosions of population and consumption. We dammed rivers, drained wetlands, and pumped groundwater faster than it could be replenished. We irrigated deserts, built megacities in places where rain barely fell. For a time, it worked. The world believed it had mastered water. But by the 1950s, cracks began to show. The Aral Sea, once the fourth largest lake on Earth, began to shrink. Within decades, it turned to dust, poisoned by chemicals, abandoned by life. And no one stopped to ask, what happens when the same thing starts everywhere? Scientists began warning us. Hydrologists raised alarms. Reports showed that aquifers beneath major cities, Mexico City, Beijing, Los Angeles, were collapsing under overuse. But the warnings were drowned out by economic momentum. Growth mattered more than sustainability. Today, we're watching the same story unfold, just on a global scale. Except this time, there is no new river. There's no untouched spring waiting to be discovered. The wells are running dry, in plain sight. And the future we face is not one of thirst in the desert. It's thirst in the cities. Thirst in your home. Thirst in a world that always thought water would just be there. This is not the beginning. This is the breaking point. The crisis is no longer a distant shadow. It's here, in plain sight, in the numbers, in the maps. Right now, more than 2 billion people already live in countries experiencing high water stress. By 2025, 2/3 of the world's population may face water shortages. Cape Town's day zero was just the beginning. a city of 4 million people days away from shutting off every household tap. In Chennai, India, all 4 major reservoirs ran dry in 2019. Trucks had to bring water. People stood in lines for hours, sometimes with nothing left to collect. In California's Central Valley, the land is sinking. Literally. Groundwater has been pumped so aggressively that entire regions are collapsing by inches every year. Satellite images show rivers shrinking, lakes disappearing, coastlines creeping inward. And still, every day, we waste. A single hamburger takes 660 gallons of water to produce. One pair of jeans? Over 1,800 gallons. Fast fashion. Industrial farming. Urban sprawl. The modern world is built on water we can no longer afford to use. And then, there's climate change. It's not just melting glaciers. It's distorting the water cycle. Rain falls where it's not needed. Droughts hit where crops once thrived. In some places, it doesn't rain for months. In others, floods wash away what little is left. The balance is breaking. Entire regions are becoming unlivable. Not in 100 years. In our lifetime. In yours. The question is no longer if the crisis will come, but how soon it will hit your city, your home, your family. We are not watching a problem grow. We are watching the beginning of a collapse. And the world still doesn't know how to stop it. Here's the truth no one talks about. We are not just running out of water. We are destroying the planet's ability to make it. Most people think water is a constant. It rains, it flows, it refills. But Earth's water cycle is far more delicate than we imagine. Forests don't just drink rain, they make it. Trees pull water from the ground and release it into the air, creating clouds, guiding storms. When we clear forests, we don't just lose trees. We disrupt the atmosphere. Rain disappears, rivers vanish, and deserts begin to spread. This is not theory. The Amazon, once the lungs of the planet, is now reaching a tipping point where it might stop producing rain permanently. And what happens when the largest rainforest turns into savanna? Global rainfall patterns collapse. Not just in South America, but across the world. Scientists call this ecosystem decay. It's not just climate change, it's feedback loops. Heat dries the soil. Dry soil kills vegetation. Less vegetation means less moisture in the air. Less rain, more heat, and the cycle accelerates. Faster than we ever predicted. And here's the shocking part. No technology can reverse that. We can't invent a new water cycle. We can't terraform the sky. Once we push the system too far, it doesn't bounce back. It crashes. Some experts believe we've already passed that point in regions like sub-Saharan Africa, parts of Australia, even California. So the real question is not, how do we save water, but can the planet still make water for us at all? The crisis isn't coming from outside. It's collapsing from within. Quietly, systematically, irreversibly, unless, despite the looming collapse, science has not stayed silent. Across the globe, researchers, engineers, and visionaries are racing against time, searching for ways to reclaim, recycle, and even create water. Some of these technologies feel like science fiction. Atmospheric water generators, machines that pull moisture directly from the air, are already in use in parts of Africa and India. They don't need rivers, rain, or pipelines. Just air and electricity. Israel leads the world in desalination. Nearly 80% of its drinking water comes from the sea, purified, pressurized, made drinkable by reverse osmosis. Singapore recycles sewage into ultra-pure water, clean enough to drink and safe for industry. Then there's hydrogel, a futuristic material capable of absorbing water from thin air, even in arid deserts. In Arizona, a single square meter of this gel can extract over half a liter of water per day. Promising? Absolutely. Scalable? Not yet. The truth is, these breakthroughs, while real, are expensive, energy-intensive, and largely inaccessible to the poorest regions where the crisis hits hardest. And here's the deeper problem. Technology may buy us time, but it can't restore the ecosystems we've broken. It can't bring back the forests that made the rain. It can't cool the warming skies. It can't refill aquifers that took millennia to form. Science is sprinting forward, but nature is collapsing faster. Still, we try, because the alternative is unthinkable. In the labs, in the deserts, in drought-stricken cities, the fight to hold on to water is humanity's last stand. But even now, one terrifying question echoes beneath every innovation. Are we solving the problem, or simply delaying the end? Not everyone agrees on what's truly causing the water crisis. Some blame climate change. Others point to overpopulation. But there are deeper, darker theories, ones whispered in policy rooms, research labs, and behind closed doors. What if water scarcity isn't just a side effect of human progress, but a tool of control? In regions where governments failed to provide clean water, private corporations stepped in, offering solutions at a price. In some countries, access to water is now a subscription service. The poor thirst, while the rich sip purified rain from rooftop systems. Was this always the plan? Or just the inevitable result of turning a vital resource into a commodity? Then there are the ethical debates. Desalination saves lives, but it dumps concentrated brine back into the oceans, damaging marine ecosystems. Atmospheric water machines require electricity, often generated by fossil fuels. Are we saving water while accelerating climate change? Scientists argue. Politicians stall. And activists warn, tech is not justice. Meanwhile, another theory grows louder, a chilling one. What if the Earth is trying to correct us? Droughts, floods, rising seas, not random disasters, but the planet's immune response to an invasive species, us. It's a terrifying thought, that we triggered something we can't control, and perhaps aren't meant to survive. But here's the cruel paradox. Every solution has a shadow. Every breakthrough, a consequence. We dig deeper wells, and the ground collapses. We build dams, and rivers die. We purify sewage while natural springs dry forever. Progress gives, and progress takes. And now we are standing at the edge, where the future is no longer shaped by what we can do, but what we're willing to sacrifice. Because the truth is clear, saving the world might cost more than we ever imagined. When the last major aquifer in Southeast Asia collapsed, the shock rippled across the world. Crops failed. Trade routes froze. Food prices exploded. In some cities, water was more valuable than fuel. People walked miles to military-controlled distribution zones, holding empty containers, hoping for one more ration bottle. But there wasn't enough. Not even close. Panic spread faster than the droughts. In Europe, governments imposed water curfews. In North Africa, riots turned into armed revolts. Desalination plants were bombed, either out of desperation or retaliation. Nations blamed one another. Water became the new weapon, and the new currency. Then came the migrations. Entire regions became uninhabitable, either too dry or too violent. Over 400 million people began to move, triggering border collapses, new conflicts, and the rise of extremist regimes promising water security. Humanity had reached its limit. And yet, something stranger happened. In the chaos, a new class of humans began to emerge. Adapted. Resilient. Children born into water-scarce zones developed unusually high kidney efficiency, skin moisture retention, even altered metabolic rhythms. At first, scientists dismissed it as coincidence. But the trend spread. Evolution, under pressure. The climate didn't wait. So the human body didn't either. A new branch of humanity was forming, not engineered, but selected. The era of Homo aquas had begun. Not stronger, not smarter, just better suited for survival. And the rest? The unadapted, the old world of humans? They watched from shrinking cities, behind dust-choked windows, realizing the future no longer belonged to them. It belonged to what came after. This was the real cost. Not just losing water, but losing the right to call Earth home. In the end, it wasn't the science that failed us. It was the silence, the hesitation, the endless waiting for someone else to act. For decades, we had the data, the forecasts, the warnings. But convenience always won. Progress marched forward, without asking where it was going. And now, the future stands at a crossroads. One path leads to adaptation, to radical changes in how we live, how we consume, how we treat the planet that gave us life. The other? Extinction by comfort. A slow drowning in our own denial. The rise of Homo aquas is not just evolution. It's judgment. A reflection of everything we refuse to become. They survive because they must. Because they don't have the luxury of waste. But what about us? The advanced ones? We still have a choice, but it is the last one we will get. We can cling to the past, fight over shrinking water tables, and weaponize survival, or we can choose humility, restoration, regeneration. We can rewild landscapes, shift global agriculture, embrace closed-loop water systems, and accept that the Earth will not negotiate with ego. But it won't wait forever. This story was never just about water. It was about time, and what we did with it. Every drop we wasted was a second we lost. Now we face a final dilemma, not technological, but human. Can we change fast enough to matter? Or will we watch, powerless, as a new world forms without us? One where survival belongs not to the clever, but to the careful. This is not science fiction. This is the mirror, and the reflection is ours to choose. Do you remember how we started this story? They say water covers over 70% of our planet. But now, I want you to look around. Not at maps, not at statistics. Look at the glass on your table, the shower you took this morning, the green tree outside your window. Now ask yourself, how many more days like this are left? I'm not trying to scare you. I'm telling you what I'm afraid of. I'm afraid we'll wait too long, that we'll keep scrolling, keep consuming, keep believing someone else will fix it. But what if no one does? What if the last drop isn't in some dried-up desert, but in your own hands, and you didn't even see it? I've read the reports. I've watched the rivers vanish from satellite images. I've listened to scientists say, over and over again, it's not too late. But their voices are getting quieter. Not because they stopped speaking, but because we stopped listening. This isn't a prediction. It's a countdown. And you're part of it. We all are. So here's my question to you. What does your last drop look like? Will it be spent rinsing a car? Watering a lawn? Or will it be the moment you decide, enough is enough? I don't have the answer. Maybe no one does. But I do know this. The future is no longer something we wait for. It's something we shape. Right now. One decision at a time. One drop at a time. Tell me, if you had the chance to change the ending of this story, would you? Or would you just keep watching until the very last drop is gone?